Have you ever caught yourself defending something that, deep down, doesn't feel true just because it's popular or comforting? Have you ever felt the quiet guilt after sharing a belief you didn't fully understand, because admitting you didn't know felt worse than being wrong? If so, you're not alone, and you're exactly who needs to hear this. Because the real danger today isn't misinformation, it's motivated ignorance. It's not that people are dumb, it's that they choose not to think. Let's trace this invisible pattern together. In 1943, theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote from a Nazi prison, "Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of the good than malice." He wasn't calling people foolish, he was describing blind obedience, the willingness to follow authority without question. And from that darkness, the greatest horrors were born, not through hatred, but through silence. Stupidity, he argued, isn't a lack of intellect, it's the moral failure to ask why. That insight applies not only to totalitarian regimes, but to our everyday ideas, trends, and beliefs. The ones we repeat without thinking, the ones we defend impulsively. Imagine this. You're at a dinner party. A widely shared opinion surfaces. Maybe it's political or cultural. It's backed by confident voices. People nod in agreement. You nod too. You feel safe in the consensus. Yet a chill runs through you, because part of you suspects it's incomplete, emotionally charged. But you stay quiet. That moment, that silent pause you avoid, that's the point where you lose yourself. Hannah Arendt called this the banality of evil. The web of atrocities often came from ordinary people obeying without thinking, just following the crowd. No one loudly proclaimed hatred. Silence did the work. This isn't radical. It's chillingly ordinary. Psychologists call this motivated reasoning. When beliefs aren't held because they're true, but because they feel convenient, confident, or socially safe. We defend them not to understand as much as we defend them to belong. The smartest people fall for this hardest. Because intelligence doesn't inoculate you from groupthink. Sometimes it even helps you rationalize it. You catch yourself twisting facts to fit your narrative. You're less interested in truth than validation. And it feels better that way, until the day you're caught in the mirror defending words you no longer trust. Let's look at Nietzsche. He warned that people fear freedom not because it's hard, but because it's heavy. To truly be free is to be responsible for your thoughts. That is terrifying. It's easier to outsource understanding than carry the weight of uncertainty. Plato believed justice needed philosophers, but rulers rarely think. When that gap grows, society rewards not truth but performance, not wisdom but spectacle. Machiavelli described it as survival. Success depended not on virtue, but effectiveness, not on sincerity, but certainty. The twist: certainty sells better than truth. Here's a story to pull this into your life. Marisol was a thoughtful journalist. She prided herself on accuracy and nuance. One morning, she wrote about a trending cause. Lots of shares followed. Her inbox exploded with praise until questions arrived. She hadn't checked the source rigorously. She'd repeated talking points she didn't fully vet. She felt exposed. Not because she was wrong, but because she'd been safe. She'd believed the comfort of agreement more than the complexity of investigation. She tore down the post, wrote an apology, lost some followers, but found something more durable: her integrity, her audience that remained. They believed not because she was right, but because she was honest. The uncomfortable truth: it's not enough to avoid lies. You must avoid truths you haven't tested, beliefs you haven't asked questions about, convictions born of emotion, not evidence. When you choose convenience over curiosity, you sell your mind short. Bonhoeffer died challenging a regime fueled by silence. He didn't fight with weapons, but with thought. Nietzsche believed in the will to power, not over others, but over yourself. The power to say, "I will question what everyone else accepts." Plato dreamed of philosopher kings, but until then, at least philosophers among the people. So what can you do? Pause next time you feel certain. Ask, why am I sure? What would change if I wasn't? Notice the pull of popularity. Challenge the appeal of consensus. Embrace the tension of doubt, not as weakness, but as your mind waking up. Because there's a different kind of power, one that doesn't roar, but whispers, I think, I question, I remain awake. Yes, the system rewards loud certainty. It celebrates spectacle over substance. It lifts fools and charlatans high, while thoughtful people work quietly in the dark. But strength lies in resisting the current, in refusing to repeat a phrase until you ask, do I really believe this? Because if enough people do that, something shifts. Because if good people think, silently, intentionally, persistently, the world doesn't just change, it evolves. So here's your choice. Continue following the script someone else wrote, or create your own lines. Because the greatest enemy isn't evil. It's the idea that obedience is loyalty. That silence is safe. That agreement is wisdom. Let that thought linger.